Yahoo! Prof here. Thought I'd you haven't seen it, check out the video where I got a quite nice gift from Squares. That is a polished brass modal. It is chunk. Also can confirm my this is a basic. This is exclusive, basic 2. But I had this slipping. The wax, the gum wax, worked right on that. You want to put it not on the tip side of the screw, like on the front end, but on like not on the leading edge, but on the trailing edge. So between this knob and there, and it is not loose at all. I did let it kind of like sit and harden for a little bit before I did that. Kind of filled the threads and put a gob back there. The action actually feels much better now that not all of your, because you go like this and you would be unscrewing it, or if like pushing it that way. Now that doesn't happen, the action on here is way nicer. So kind of check out those videos if you're interested. And this one, we're actually taking a peek at this box of KnipeX. All from Home Depot. They seem to be the most reliable place, actually, for me to get, or sorry, KnipeX, if you say it the way you're supposed to. They seem to be the most reliable place to get it in the U.S. currently, for me, unless you have like a pro tool distributor. Got a couple places on eBay. Tool Has Gone Mad. They're off in Australia. And there's Prime Tools on there out of the UK. Tools Gone Mad. If you have a chance to order from them and you want some of the Australian exclusive products, check them out. They're great. They'll also combine your shipping, which can be quite nice when you're shipping overseas like that. Oh, Paisley brought her bag. Yeah. Yeah, did you see I was shooting a video? Paisley Marie? Yeah. I gotta get a picture for the... I can't use the video, the one we're currently on, Paisley, because... because the video is currently being recorded on it. So I think Paisley's gonna have to be in the thumbnail, because she's very much in the way. Paisley, do you want to sit in my lap? I have a feeling you will. Come here. What's this? What's... Is that your bag? You're in front of the camera, so people can't see your bag. Paisley, can you go over here, or are you gonna sit in my lap? Okay, she was just checking out what's going on, I guess. So we've got 5. There's actually a 6th one coming, and 2 more that aren't in stock yet. They've kind of... You can put yourself on an auto notify on Home Depot, and then they'll message you when it comes in. As far as I can tell, all of these should be actually KnipeXtend. I have a feeling that, because there's a period there where KnipeX was like, you'll be aware, like just because you order it, you might not get the KnipeXtend one if they have comfort grip in stock. My argument, though, is if the seller shows a picture of a KnipeXtend on their site, you should get what is pictured. They didn't disagree with me there. They were just saying, like, hey, there might still be some in the supply chain. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's why I waited until the seller I bought from. Like, if you go on Amazon right now and you want the 822-145, it will not have KnipeXtend grips on it. So I don't buy it. I went to Home Depot, which had this one pictured. But I think Home Depot kind of like... Well, they had, one returned from me and another one that they couldn't replace because they didn't have stock. And I got a deal on it. So a lot of these are... Well, a lot of them are pliers. No way. It's almost like they're KnipeX. Here. So let's go biggest to Smallest? What's weird is over in Europe, you can literally get them. Sometimes they're in here in a bag. That's how you can get them in Europe. Like, it's straight up, like, just plastic bag. Like, because it's just, they probably buy them in a box of them, you know, like a case of them, and they go to, like, you'll sell them to a supplier or to a service company or whatever, and they just give one to everything, or they got a box of them, and when you wear one out, you're like, hey, I need another pliers, blah, blah, blah. I've gotten a lot of the ones that I've gotten from Prime Tools out of the UK are like that. Most of the ones we see in the US so far are like this, which is kind of their, it's their like packaging, but not their, it's like retail packaging, but not like display retail packaging. It's like the tool truck packaging, let's call it. Because if they want it to be in a store to show off what it is, you need a hang tag. You need a plastic front so you can actually see it, so you can get a vibe of what it is. No, that's not rust. It's that was grease, for those wondering. Like I was wondering that too. I'm like, that looks like rust, and it wiped right off. So it's more than likely grease. This feels mighty like my current needle nose. This is the one that I was kind of waiting for a while. This one had been back ordered for quite some time. I believe if we look at the finish on this guy, we can compare it to other ones that we're gonna have opened up here. This one's probably plated. Yeah, you can see more of it there. It's definitely not rust. It's schmoo, and it's smooth. Like, that shit is smooth. The thing about this one is, if you've seen some of the other needle nose, this is the one that has the cutter. You gonna come sit by me? You gonna come sit by me? Get down. Ooh. Storage is full. Oh no! How much do we have left? I don't know if I can even tell that from this video. Hopefully there's enough to shoot this video for you guys. Because I can't check now. Getting on the lap. Getting on the lap. Getting on the lap. Hey, 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 hey. But this is the one, I'm pretty sure this 26-200, 26-15-200. We can take a look at the two. Here's the box. 26-15-200. They give you a little bit of card in here that explains the KnipeXtend grips. I've currently been putting yellow for me and the tether on the other side. And here they're using it. Otherwise, if you have, or if I ever have to make a specific kit to do a specific task, or end up going back on site or something, and you know, we want this one for stripping, that one for whatevering, or that one cuts this wire, I would probably color code them yellow for me. And then if I don't need the tether for where I'm working, pop another color so I can have steps. So it's just easier, especially when they're sitting like this. Right now they're in my toolbox like this, so I literally see the front of the plier, not the ass end of the plier. Right? So I don't really need to have color coding because it's not like this where you only see the handle, right? I'm literally seeing the frontal pliers, and often I grab it, like, because it goes into the rack like this with the handle here, so you see the pliers. You know, if you're in a tool bag, that's a bit different. And I might move some of these to a tool bag eventually, right? If I have specific use and that sort of stuff, then I might buy some other colors. But for now, we're always going to have the yellow one because that is my my color, right? So that is, and I'm pretty sure this is my existing needle nose that I used a ton of. That except it might be a nickel. That looks nickel plated to me. You can especially see it on like the matte back of a lot of these, where it'll look much more obvious that it's plated, or once I have other ones out. But it's got a cutter on there, and because of where the cutter is, that makes the needle nose, I'm not going to say like the needle nose part is longer, but it's out more, because normally they would have taken this and just put it in here. So the blade, like they would be a shorter needle nose, because this would be closer to the hinge. So, and yes, that is not cut, like light comes through that, but if you close it down, put any amount of pressure on it, that's closed, whereas the needle nose isn't. This is closed. Just like the combination pliers, that is how it should be. Because a lot of people think that that is wrong. Now, on my version of this that I have, that is not KnipeXtend right now, not nickel plated either, these got tweaked because I might have used them for too heavy duty of stuff, and it widened that gap. So now those are on, I think we've had in previous video, 5+ years of use at this point. I didn't think it was that long, but hey, COVID was 5 years ago, you know. So this guy is the 95-12-160 step cut. So you might have seen the step cut XL before. This is, I'm not going to call this the step cut junior, but this is sort of, we have the cable shears, and I do have one that's also spring loaded for the cable shears. This is kind of in the same realm as those cable shears for size, except it can handle substantially thicker wire because of the step. That's what the whole step cut thing is. And what it does is it helps separate the, if you're using stranded cable, so you're not cutting every strand all at the same time, especially when you're going through really thick wire. Because think about it, it can do like that, and it can go through there. 15 millimeters or 50 millimeters squared, copper or aluminum. Do not cut steel. See, I wish all their pliers had this, that have cutters on them. Even if they had to put them on the backside, because there's room here. Like, for example, this just says Vanadium Super, or it'll say Chrome Vanadium. Now, I know that one is actually rated for, I think, hardened wire even on these specific. I think it's just the nickel-plated ones specifically. But this 26-15-200, I'd have to look up the specifics of this pliers. But that is not only like a cutter on there, it's a hardened cutter. Oh, see, this is the plastic bag I was talking about earlier, where sometimes you will get, this is what you get for the pliers, is just that's what it'll come in, and this is folded over. That's it, nothing more. Let's type this in real quick. I got, even though I defaulted Firefox, there was a major browser update and it put Safari back as the default. Good job, friggin' Apple. Same browser. These are stork beak pliers. Half round taper jaws. Yep, for soft, medium, and hard. Cutting edges, additionally induction hardened 61 HRC. Now I have knife, a good hardness for like a knife, like from Tactile Turn, is 63, 64 HRC. You can go a little bit harder, I believe, as well. But so 61 on there is that's I know from, relating to other things, that is a decent hardness. And the reason why it is specifically called out is usually the cutters that are paired with like where the main function is the pliery guy, you will not have a hardened cutter on it, right? So this could cut steel cable. This, despite being specifically a cutter, right? This is the step cut, non-XL. You can see the steps in its cut, teehee. You know, though it can do big cables, I mean, like, not huge ones. This is actually much smaller in the hand, and that's why I think I would use this from time to time over the Step Cut XL. Even though Step Cut XL has a little nibbler on the front, and then it has like a more of a like buck tooth, not buck tooth, like the underjaw. It looks like one of those deep sea fish. This is really handy sized in the hand. So it really depends on what you're cutting, I guess. But good to have the non-XL variant of the Step Cut, and no, they're actually like generationally different. Think of the Step Cut XL as the Gen 2, besides being bigger. Like, people basically said, yeah, we love this, we want it bigger, and we want it better. Next up, we've got ourselves the 30, 35, 160. Those are some pretty high, not the last number because that's the length, but the leading numbers, that's pretty high for Knipex. You know, they normally don't get that high up. And what is so fancy about it? Why? It is the 6 1/4 inch. I believe there's also 5 1/2 inch one of these that I don't currently have. Oh no, this is long nose pliers. There will be a round nose as well. So this is long nose, round pliers. Depending on what you're doing in bending, especially like chain and stuff, this can be actually much more useful and usable than just your standard needle nose, right? These are pretty universal. Like I said, I have effectively the non-KnipeXtend one of these, and this is like my go-to for a needle nose. Like, this is what I grab. I really like the long, slender needle nose. And I probably actually use the cutter on this more than I do on my combination pliers. I know, I'm a heathen. But, so yeah, let me know what you guys specifically use your... This they call long nose plier round tips. This they're calling round nose pliers comfort handles. So this is effectively a long nose round tip pliers. This one is also nickel plated, which is fairly rare for the U.S. market. They might do it here as a differentiation that this is the hardened cutting edge one versus, you know, your standard. That's even more raw than, say, you'll see coming up on the what do they call it? They call it like a needle nose combination pliers. I've not had one of those before from Knipex, so that could be quite useful. This feels quite hard on here. Like, I don't know how to explain that, but like, geez. This is the 30, 35, 160. All right. Once again, I need to find out the exact breakdown of all these numbers. The last one is obviously the length. I believe the middle one is usually referring to like the finish or like the style specifically, and then the leading number is the type. What all of those numbers all correlate to, though, I don't know if there's some chart or something. Yeah, let me know, what would you use specifically? Like, if you're like, hey, yeah, I really need a round tip pliers, here's what I use it for, and that longer tipped one that you're showing off would really help. You know, let me know specifically like why you'd take this guy over this guy, right? Also, with this being the nickel plated, a lot of the nickel plated stuff, like their pliers wrench, is generally closer to non-marring when they get this much more finished. It's generally smoother, harder, etc. Usually the tools are smoother too. Like they should be more resistant to corrosion as well. Apparently that's why they like them over in Europe. I was talking with some of the tool, like I said, the Australian. I was actually talking with the Tools Gone Mad guy, a guy or gal over there. I don't remember which. And they were saying, yeah, the reason why I ended up picking some up from them in Prime Tools is because they have all these nickel plated variants of versions of Knipex that we get that we never see, and they're like, oh yeah, over in Europe, the Prime Tools guys, and some of you guys down in the comments, guys and gals down in the comments as well, were saying like, oh yeah, we like don't have the raw one. That's not a thing here. I'm like, oh, it's only like usually special ones like this guy that we would get, or like the pliers wrench. But even then, the pliers wrench, the standard pliers wrench now in the US is not even the nickel plated one. And the special edition pliers wrench wasn't nickel plated here, because they always put stuff out in the holidays and stuff like that. That one was not nickel plated. So this is the 2202 160. So 160 should be similar length to here, but you have to remember this is a long nose, so the handle on here is actually smaller than this guy. Because it's a short nose, but it's still 160, you're going to get more leverage. Now, this one's quite goopy. So, but if you look, no nickel plate. So this is the first place I can show you. Nickel plate versus no nickel plate. Significant difference, right? So this guy doesn't get as pointy, but you have more leverage, which makes sense because they're going to flex more way out here. So maybe they don't want you to have, you know, as much oomph behind it. This guy also gets much more flush the way it is designed. Like there is a small gap in there, but not much. Whereas this one, because they want the tips touching, there is a gap. You know, it's probably meant to be used slightly open. Whereas this one, they don't put flats on it. That's so much rougher. I don't know how to... Maybe I can catch this on camera. All right. Now let's do the nickel plating one. Like my nail doesn't catch at all. Whereas on here, it is like... So, depending on what you're doing, you might want this guy over this guy. Like I said, round nose, I think I've had one ever. Usually you have used it in relation to chain and or wire. My mind is blanking specifically what I used it for. Another time you'll see round nose often is, what are those called? The rings, snap ring pliers. These are not snap ring pliers, you know. This on this guy too, the long nose round tip that is nickel plated, much skinnier handles. Once they get down to this size, you might be able to see it from this profile. This has closer to like the 6-inch wire cutter size handle on the right side, whereas this is not like the precision size, but it's in the like small electronic size. Like you can see, especially on the KnipeXtend grip right here, it doesn't go back nearly as far. And like I said, with this nickel plating too, like I think the intention is to be far more precise and non-marring with that versus this guy, as I need to cut my nails and I just got caught on like the nice soft plastic and rubber that's on here. And it felt awful when my nail got bent back. But this one, you definitely got much more force behind it, I have a feeling. You know, like, because you got the longer handle and the shorter tips, you're farther away considerably than here. And you have more width to really go at it. Now take a look at this. This guy was also, I believe, a 6.5. Of course, that one's flipped over. Step cut non-XL is 6. Yep, or sorry, not 6.5, 6.25. So this is also a 6.25. See, it's the same length once again, but because the cutters on here on the step cut are so short, the handle got bigger once again. So this is the handle that you'd normally see on like the 8 or 9-inch pliers. on the step cut. And you can see it's a flat on this side and an angled on, or like a rounded top on this side, but it's flat on the bottom. That's very similar to that larger, I want to say it's usually the 8-inch wire cutter. And that's so you can hold it down here and you really got a lot of surface area to give her. And if you're going through a cable like, you know, like so, yeah, you're going to have to give her, aren't you? But let me know, like I said, I've used these for wire. And I don't mean like wiring, like doing electronic wiring, but like bending wire, right? And then chains is another thing, like for separating links. Because what can happen here is if you're trying to bend like round wire with these, you can twist it and it'll pop out of the jaw. Whew, those are sharp as. That's one thing on my pair that I've, you know, what do you want to say? Given a lot of hot suppers, except it's not an electrical tool, so I don't know if that counts. But these are worn on my pair, so it'll be nice to have one of these available. And I might send the other ones out, get them repaired. I'll have to see with Knipex, like if just like general wear and tear is covered, or if it's far enough along to make that happen. Either way, they'll probably go out into the garage, into that set. So I have a decent tool out there, you know. So, and for those of you that do use the round nose, which one of these two is more useful to you? The kind of smaller, more like what I would say is like small electronic sized grips on this guy with the longer, more precise nickel plated tips, or something that's a bit more burly like this guy, or do you need to go even bigger? I think currently this is the 2 sizes that are available in the US. So, and last one, I did not expect to come in this retail package here. It looks like you could just peel it apart because there's this nice hinge here, right? But that is all thermally sealed along there. So we're gonna have to cut her out, and I'm not cutting on this hardened line then. I'm gonna cut on this easy squishy area here. One of the ones that I don't have that's currently, as far as I can tell, exclusive to Australia or that region, is also a needle nose combination pliers. This is specifically a 5 3/4, so I think it falls into the same. Here, look at the handles. Yep, it falls in that same sort of. They made this smaller KnipeX handle, or KnipeXtend handle. Sorry, for their like small electronics sized. The actual little nippers I had, it said something about small electronics on it. You know what? Let's try this shite $10 Walmart. I shouldn't say shite. It's for $10. It's really good. Walmart $10 Ozark Trail D2 steel. You can see right there, knife. That should easily open this. Should easily open this. Okay. Once I got it going, I will admit, once I got up to the harder plastic up here, it did struggle. So, D2 steel, I mean, I don't normally buy $10 knives. You know, I did note how, when I was reviewing it, that my what do we call this thing? Letter opener, that I think needs to be resharpened again, was still sharper. So, out of the box, not that sharp. I don't know what to expect out of that class of knife, really. As I tend to stick with ye box cutters, because I hate sharpening knives. Here's the Palmer. Got the Fisker's blade in there. So that way when it goes dull, you flip it around, or it gets all gooey. You don't have to worry about like cleaning it up properly. You just flip her around. And then when that side goes, you know, like all gooey and chipped and whatever, you just huck another blade in there. Here, did figure something out with my copper one that I was complaining about, where I thought the Fisker's blade has caused some issues with it. Check that out. Boom. I think it just had, this is running a DeWalt blade. I actually had an old Stanley Carbide blade in here. I don't know if that was one of the last ones, but you can see this thing is now running smooth. What I did is I took all the screws out, realigned it, made sure it was straight and square as an arrow, and it was already better even with that Stanley Carbide blade, but for some reason it worked better in one direction than another. I'm just like, you know what, I had a bad refill the other day for my pen, for this pen actually, that for some reason in one of the 4 directions, you can go left, right, up, down, right, it wouldn't go up, and it would just spit out ink out of the bottom of the refill that was in there. And I kept trying to troubleshoot it. Like, it's like the metal was malformed, or maybe I dropped it on the concrete or something, you know. But the copper, I was complaining about that. I was saying, like, mine's kind of shit. It keeps, you know, I don't know if it might be something I did. I checked inside, kind of cleaned it out, like scraped it out with a new blade on the inside, made sure it was fully flat, you know, cleaned it out with some isopropyl alcohol and stuff. Went together square, popped that old blade in there, was better already with the old blade. I'm like, you know what? First off, I didn't even actually get a new blade. I pulled the blade out of here because this thing works beautifully, right? My orange one that I run all the time. Popped the blade out of here, and it had no problems. And I looked, oh, that's a DeWalt one. I still have an old Stanley one on the other one. So that would have been, it's either an old blade, years old, or it was towards the very, very end of my pack, which takes me a couple years to get through. Ooh, this guy needs to be worked in. That was tight. That one is tight. This does have this other jaw design, and I don't know if this, you guys gotta let me know. So is it a cheaper or more expensive jaw design where you see this KnipeXtend going this way, or is it like older or newer, right? I tend to like these, which I would consider like an older design, where it's much more rounded, much more flush, going around that, like that sort of thing. But on some of theirs, and I don't know if it's the cheaper, like it's not like all KnipeXtend is good, but they do have like some different tiers of tools. And I don't know if this style, if it's better, worse, whatever in between, but I tend to not like the ones that have this style of like hinge as much, because we've seen them both in, we've seen both types in the standard combination pliers. I want to say this is a newer style. I might be wrong though. Those of you that are even, because I'm kind of, I had purchasing, what do you want to call it? Not the paralysis. That's the word, purchasing paralysis. When I was going to buy new ones that are finally replacing my Crescent spring-loaded ones years ago. Turns out TUKK makes spring-loaded ones that have like a, it looks like a fiberglass sort of like hoop in there that makes them spring-loaded. That seems interesting. I think TUKK's French? Might be wrong. I was watching some European tool videos because of the Shadow Foam guy, because he reviewed a bunch of YouTubers, and that worked for me. Because that, he probably did that to get stuff, so you'd watch his other stuff and buy his product. I don't know if it would make sense to buy the product in US necessarily. I'm also not a big foam guy. I feel like the foam wastes so much space. Like, unless you're building a toolkit for a specific purpose and you only need those tools, I really don't see the point. Yeah, this is 5 3/4 inch needle nose combination pliers, 0822 145 SBA. That SBA part may signify why it's in this retail packaging. If I recall the SBA, I don't remember what it stands for, but I believe that means like retail hang tag plastic packaging, not just a box, and not just a bag. Because I've had one other one that came like this, and or on Amazon sometimes they'll have the SBA version and the non-SBA version, and there's a couple dollars difference. Unless for some reason you're selling it, you're reselling it or something, I don't know why you would care if you're knowing which product you're buying, because you're buying it online. You should know which one it is. Yeah, I always feel like on this style too, the hinge pin is smaller. See how it's so small there compared to, like that guy. I always feel like this style is tighter too. Like I'm having to work this one in, and you can see there is like grease or something coming out of there. Just gotta. You might have seen me do that in a previous video. It's one thing I will say here. I don't know that I've ever seen this seems to be like a newer thing, to the KnipeXtend line at least, which is the combination pliers, but it's a needle nose combination pliers. Super intriguing, I think, because a lot of times when people think needle noses, or they do call them needle nose, they think of this, which is like a long nose pliers, right? Or they called this one a stork beak because it's like an extra extended long nose. Or actually, like a needle nose is just pointy pliers rather than being like a standard combination pliers. Pointy. That's what needle nose means. This one I think is a little small because it's using that real small, sort of like precision, small electronics sized grip. Depending on what you're doing, this might be fine, right? I'd say for my uses, if I could get it to loosen up a little bit, that'd be great. I personally would still love to see this size pliers, especially with the smaller grip, be spring-loaded. Boink, boink, boink. And I know Knipex has some. I have their non-step cut shears in a lockable step cut. I think it's their like plastic cutter, which is like a flush cutter, but it's only for what do you want to call it? Zip ties and stuff. I know that I think has a spring load. I don't know. I'm huge on spring loaded pliers. I would love to see some have it. You know what I mean? And I think the smaller the pliers, the more I'd like to see. So like this one would definitely be a good, like a prime example, I think, of one that would, because you're gonna be grabbing stuff, manipulating, and you might want to keep it just like a little bit open, like that far, Yeah, just like that much, right there, boing. So you can always open it up further. Yeah, this one's gonna need a bunch of working in. We had one a couple videos ago that was like that too. This is the 08-22-145. Definitely not a combination of numbers that I'm used to seeing. Now in this style, they, besides having this like sort of cut in or stamped in Knipex there, they also have the 08-145 here. They don't have the 22, but they have the 08-145 that made in Germany on the backside, which is interesting because normally you'd have 22-160 there on the front of it. In Germany, nothing on the back. So there's definitely like a difference between the